Welcome back to Comic Showcase, true believers. The year is 1975 and the history of the Marvel Universe continues. In this year, that cool cat Tom Baker was making the scene as the fourth Doctor in Britain's Doctor Who series. Kiss was rock and rolling all night and partying every day. The coolest video game ever, Pong, was released in homes across the planet, and a fiberglass shark prevented people from going into the water. Last time, Seafarer talked about the Fab Four that started the Marvel Universe. The Fantastic Four proved to be an important comic that launched an age unlike any other. And now, Marvel wanted to try something new as the disco days continued.
That's supposed to be dancing, right?
How long have you been watching me?
Long enough.
Well, here I am in 1975 and ready to talk about the X-Men. Did you know that there was a time when they were not really that popular? Whoa. Hey, I was just as surprised as you were when I found out. Check it out. As the Marvel age went on, we got new superstars of the 70s like Howard the Duck, yes, that Howard the Duck, Luke Cage, the Cat, Iron Fist, and Nova. Heroes were becoming slightly grittier with the introduction of Punisher, Ghost Rider, and Man-Thing. Also, new forward-thinking heroines were introduced, like Ms. Marvel. As for the old guard, well, Spidey, FF, and the Avengers were still going strong. Marvel's Mighty Mutants, the X-Men, on the other hand, had a problem as the decade began. The X-Men were cancelled in 1970 after 66 issues due to a lack of sales. They were reduced to random guest appearances, and their book was in reprint hell. They also were reduced to guest stars in various books like Marvel's Team-Up and other cameos. This wasn't the end of Marvel's then B-grade heroes, as then-editor Roy Thomas, former writer of X-Men, got together with Al Landau, who was the president of Marvel at the time. The two discussed making an international group of heroes that reflected the changing world and whatnot, and resembled a Golden Age multinational team called the Blackhawks. Furthermore, the book would be used to help sell the X-Men overseas by having an international team and one or two older X-Men to help boost sales of the book. Thomas then suggested Len Wein and Dave Cockrum to work on the book after Wein introduced a certain yellow spandex-wearing Canadian with claws in the pages of Incredible Hulk. Just like comics of today. Seriously, what comic hasn't had Wolverine on it by this point? Dave Cockrum of Legion of Superheroes and Superboy fame was assigned the penciling task of creating New Mutants as well as showcasing the original team. And what went into creating a team of international mutants was a serious case of brainstorming, as we can see from these early sketches. Fun fact, by the way, Nightcrawler, as created by Cockrum, was originally intended to be a DC Comics character starring in The Outsiders. The idea of having such a bizarre creature on the team was summarily rejected.
Would it hurt so much to see the world through different eyes?
DC's loss was Marvel's gain, Fuzzy Elf. Let's dig into the book that revived the strangest heroes of all. Like the cover of the Fantastic Four #1, Giant Size X-Men #1 has been considered one of the most classic covers of all time. It has been parodied over the years, like in the case of New Warriors #1. The heroes run at the reader, while above them, the original team look on. However, they don't seem to be looking with pride or anything. They seem kind of shocked. It's like, who are these people? We are the X-Men, not these newbies. The cover looks fantastic as we turn the page and see more running at the reader. At least the original X-Men looked calm this time as we began the story entitled Second Genesis, where they do more than just run at the reader. I hope. Our story begins with a strange blue-furred man with a demonic appearance leaping from rooftop to rooftop to avoid a group of very angry Bavarian villagers. The man muses about how the life of a circus freak was not one for Kurt Wagner, the astonishing Nightcrawler. Realizing that they're going to destroy the village in an attempt to destroy him, Kurt leaps into the mob, and when all hope is lost, they are stopped when Professor Xavier appears. The Prof explains how he's searching for mutants to help him. Kurt asks, "Can you help me to be normal?" Xavier remarks that after what happened, would he really want to be? He replies that he just wants to be Kurt Wagner, and asks if he can help just being that. See? That was relatively simple. Where's the next stop, Chuck? We arrive in Canada's Department H, where the suits are discussing things, when in walks in Wolverine. It's just... Never mind. Wolverine is initially unimpressed by the professor and dismisses him. However, the Prof explains how he can now be a free agent and that he needs mutants. Of course, the Canadian government guys are unhappy with his decision to leave. As Wolvie leaves, the guy exclaims that they haven't heard the last of Department H. Foreshadowing! The next stop is Ireland, where Chuck picks up X-Men ally Banshee. Now it's off to Africa to meet a mutant who is hailed as a goddess among the tribesmen, for she has the ability to have her hair cover her naughty bits. Control the weather. Xavier tells her how the world needs her more than just some village. Aurora of Kenya joins the growing team of X-Men. And after a quick trip to Japan, a reluctant ally of the old team named Sunfire figures that now is the time for the world to once again hear his name. Okay, we've covered North America, Europe, Asia. Where else are we gonna go now, Chuck? We gotta complete the Mutant Olympics, you know. Charles arrives at a Russian farm where a farm boy named Peter tends to the ground. Nearby, a runaway tractor threatens to roll over his younger sister and future new mutant, Ilyana. Thinking fast, Peter charges after the tractor, and his skin turns into organic steel. The first person to say, "Hork!" gets pistol whipped. Peter meets with Charles, who again gives a speech about how he needs mutants and doesn't reveal why exactly. Seriously, for all they know, Charles could be gathering them all up in an attempt to summon Captain Planet. Peter wonders if he has great power, shouldn't it belong to the state? Like he told Aurora, he says that power such as his belongs to the world. I got it. They're all going to do the It's a Small World ride, right? I knew Professor Xavier was a jerk, but I didn't know he was this bad. No, I'm sure he's got some bigger fish to fry than some hapless tourists. Our last stop takes us to the American frontier as we see a Native American wrestle a bison with uncanny speed and strength. His name is John Proudstar, and wow, he's a jerk. How in blazes did a cripple get way out here? Not that it matters much. Place your bets, who on this team is gonna die first? Proudstar explains how the white man doesn't need him, and the Prof touches the nerve by saying he's a coward. He said that he'll prove himself, and the Prof wonders if any of the team can be up to the task at hand. Chapter 2 begins with everyone gathered at the X-Mansion and already dressed in uniforms. Sunfire demands an explanation as to why they're all gathered, and Xavier introduces Cyclops as he can better explain what has happened to his friends. For it seems that the original X-Men have all disappeared. Scott explains how some time ago Cerebro, the X-Men mutant locator, picked up a mutant signature that was off the charts. The strange new mutant was located on the island of Krakoa, and the professor explains that they need to find this powerful mutant, lest it be used for evil. On the ride to find the mutant, Jean wonders if Beast could help. Cyclops explains that Beast graduated and he's probably too busy. Actually, he joined the Avengers. Same difference. The X-Men arrive at the island and wonder just where the new mutant is. Before Cyclops can order Angel to do some aerial recon, the team is ambushed and Cyclops finds himself on his way home, seemingly powerless. As Cyclops tries to explain what happened, Scott unleashes an optic blast more powerful than any he has ever created. Now Cyclops wants to go back to Krakoa, find the others, and the mutant who ambushed them. Of course, Sunfire doesn't want any part of the mission and leaves. Once everyone is on the jet and on the way to Krakoa, they meet up with Sunfire. Nightcrawler, being the smartass that he is, said that he was just too afraid to go home alone. Krakoa, isn't he? The new X-Men arrive at the island and split up into teams. Storm and Colossus, Wolverine and Banshee, Nightcrawler and Sunfire, and finally Cyclops and Thunderbird. Once Colossus leaves without a parachute, Storm fears the worst and grabs him. Personally, I think landing in his armored 4 would have been awesome. Cyclops and Thunderbird land the jet and turn around to see it vanish into thin air. Cyclops said that they'll worry about it later as the massive citadel appears. Scott says that he and Thunderbird will have to fight their way there as the island starts to attack them. After dealing with the threat, the pair arrive at the citadel and wonders how the others are faring. Elsewhere, Wolverine and Banshee take out some rather large crabs, while Storm and Colossus deal with an avalanche. Between this and the Island of the Fantastic Four review, I'm beginning to think that there are no good vacation spots in the Marvel Universe. Nightcrawler and Sunfire arrive, and the group work to open the Citadel's door to reveal the other X-Men hooked up to vegetation, and the island appears to be feeding off of them. The others save the X-Men, and Angel yells at Scott, saying, "You fool! It wanted you to come back and bring others with you. It was all a trap, and now it's too late." Just then, the ground rumbles as the mutant on the island finally reveals itself. However, the mutant is the island itself, for it is Krakoa, the island that walks like a man. How many takes do you think it took for me to do that line with a straight face? Answer? Right there. Krakoa revealed itself and how it was born from a nuclear blast that unified every living thing on the island into one collective. It needs more. It needed to feed and send Cyclops to find others to satiate its hunger. However, with the combined teams, the beast will hunger no more. Cyclops yells at the beast for using him to lure others into a trap, and Krakoa doesn't seem to be the conversationalist as it just wants to feed on the mutants. The X-Men attempt to fight it off, and we get a very awesome panel of them fighting. I'm going to need a minute. I'll be right back. Oh my god, that was so awesome! Xavier telepathically contacts Scott to tell him that they're going about this all wrong. They need to attack from a different angle. Step 1. The Prof attacks Krakoa's brain, giving it a killer migraine. Step 2. Cyclops orders Storm to take to the sky to generate a powerful storm. Step 3. Have Polaris form a circuit with the Weather Witch. Of course, she then cries out in pain. Below, her boyfriend Havoc demands his brother Scott to stop. Scott tells Alex that he can't sacrifice the world to save one woman. This from the guy who, you know what, just go beat X-Men Inferno, it'll make sense. Somehow this connection made Krakoa stronger as the professor drops his connection. He tells the team that they're on their own. Scott turns to his brother and they combine their energy attacks and direct it toward Polaris. It's amazing how the original X-Men are doing all of the work. I wonder what the newbies are doing. Polaris' magnetic forces penetrate Earth's crust and reach the core as Krakoa begins to weaken. It tries to plead for help as Iceman rushes to help Polaris as the island breaks up. The group makes a mad dash for the water as Iceman makes a makeshift raft out of ice to shield them from the tidal wave as Krakoa leaves Earth for deep space. The raft plunges underwater, and after a few moments, the ice cocoon emerges from the sea. With it comes the jet. Once aboard, Angel asks the most important question of all. What are we going to do with 13 X-Men? Oh, Angel, that is a loaded question. Let's take a look at the book and its legacy. The art here is really good for 1975. The action is tense as we see the combined X-Men teams fight for their lives. One might say that having 13 characters may be too much for the book. I disagree. Every character introduced here has a unique backstory and character traits that would be examined in later books. They all have their quirks, and in the end put their problems aside to become the all-new, all-different X-Men. This story, like Fantastic Four #1, had the heroes deal with a monster. That's really where the similarities end. Like I said before, we see two teams of mutants from different backgrounds work together for a greater goal, saving the world from the threat of Krakoa. It should be noted that, like the Avengers and the Fantastic Four, the X-Men are in the running for Earth's mightiest heroes. Giant-sized X-Men #1 gave the mutants a new lease on life, as shortly after it hit the stands, the reprint stopped and a new adventure began, since the story grabbed a whole new audience. At first, Cockrum and Wayne stuck around for a bit before handing over the writing chores to Chris Claremont, who wrote the X-Men from the late 70s to 1990, and put Marvel's Mighty Mutants back on the map as the team proved to be one of the most successful runs in comic book history. Add John Byrne into the mix, and we get massive story arcs and tons of new plot twists and turns that just captivated readers all over the world. Not bad for a one-shot attempt at revitalizing a dead series, huh? The success of the book meant that the original team was unfortunately broken up. However, many would rejoin their fellow X-Men on many adventures, and hey, they had their own series in the 80s called X-Factor. Regardless of who was on the team, the X-Men were back, and the world of Marvel's Mighty Mutants would never again be the same, as more mutants were introduced, and the X-Men became Mutant Team Supreme by the time I started reading comics in the early 90s. I think it's obvious by this point that I'm a huge fan of the X-Men. I didn't get involved with the series until the end of Chris Claremont's run, so I had to read reprints instead. In this age of reboots and reimagining, it's plain to see that this one at least got things right the first time. With that said, I'm Seafarer, thanks for watching Comic Showcase, and if you don't mind, I have a wedding to go to.
Wow.